The students ones with the numbers, I would recommend them.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, April 7, 2025 Meridian Transportation Commission meeting. We will start with the roll call. Mr. Ballard. Present. Shoemaker.
Here.
Mr. Lancaster. I am present. Mr. Hopkins. Stephen Lewis.
Here.
Jared Smith. He wrote us and said he would not be attending. Mr. Leclerc.
Present.
Lily Miller. Leila Kloppenstein. Miranda Carson. Kate Dahl. We got anyone online? Is it us or them?
Mr. Chair, we do have Justin Price and Sergeant Smith online, as well as another individual, but I don't know the name. It's just
Okay, so
initials.
it is working.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Kate Dahl. Mr. Price,
Here.
welcome. Sergeant Smith,
Here.
thank you, ma'am. Tricia Murray,
I'm here online.
welcome. Ms. Hill, of course, is here. And Kelly Bruner.
Here.
Mr. Bruner is our new ACHD liaison. We're glad to welcome him here. And I also note that Ms. Kloppenstein and Kate Dahl have made it through the rainstorm, such as it was. Welcome. Mr. Bruner, if you would, give us a little bit about who you are, where you came from, and how you got here.
Mr. Chair, thank you. My name is Kelly Bruner. I work with ACHD in the right-of-way and project management department as a project manager. I've been with ACHD for 3.5 years now. I've been in my current role for 7 months, give or take. Before that, I worked on the development side. So I spent my first year doing development planning with Wallace's group, and then spent 2 years doing development review, construction plan review. So I, got a little bit of the technical background there. For that, I was a college student at Boise State University. More or less an Idaho native. I wasn't born here, but I've lived in Idaho since I was about 2.5, 3, somewhere in there. I grew up in Idaho Falls, graduated high school there, and then I've lived in Boise since the summer of 2017, so almost 8 years now.
Okay. Thank you, and again, welcome. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Chair would entertain a motion and a second.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for the adoption of the agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Next is the approval of the minutes of March the 3rd. Comments, questions, or a motion, gentlemen?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes as presented.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hopkins. I didn't hear Ms. Carson online. Have you joined us?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
present.
Oh, welcome.
Sorry
Thank
about
you.
that.
I have a minute question for you. There, in the minutes of last meeting, it says that WASD was working with ACHD to install pedestrian ramps near a school. Is that a particular school?
Yes, I believe it was Joplin.
Okay,
I'm not remembering off the top of my head which school it was.
okay.
Yeah, yes, it was
I couldn't
Joplin.
find anyone that would remember.
Yep, it was Joplin Elementary.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other conversation or comments about the approval of the minutes? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Old business, transportation project updates. Ms. Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So for this month, transportation project updates start on page 6 and go through 13. There are several updates on page 9 in relation to the Meridian downtown pavement and pedestrian improvement projects. So I took most of those from the most recent ACHD project update that we got. So you'll just see various updates on all those different segments on there. So I included those since I know there's been interest on that. As for ITD updates, I did talk with Mark Wasdall, and he said that next month you should be able to anticipate having some new updates on the ITD projects. But really on it, all of the others, there's nothing really significant that's not bolded in the packet. So I can stand for questions if you have any, but I'll leave it at that.
Questions or comments, commissioners? Okay, moving along. Next item is new business. You see in the packet a copy of the end-of-year Transportation Commission report that will be delivered at 4:30 tomorrow afternoon in the council chambers here. I had asked that y'all be given that to see if anyone had any yes, but, no questions, and I got one response from somebody who said they didn't, so thank you for that. But otherwise, we plan to make that presentation tomorrow. I understand Mr. Hood is putting together a very high-level, minimal PowerPoint to go with that. I can get into PowerPoint and I can look at them, but never have tried to make one. Okay, next item is ex officio updates. Let's see. Yes, sir. Sorry.
On the report, it is good, and so I didn't have substantive changes. But the series of meetings that we went through regarding the ACHD management map, it reads a little bit like, you know, Mr. Hood, and he did do all the work, but but it kind of was like he dominated it. And my memory, especially at the May meeting, was that we directed staff to pursue this management plan amendment and map amendment for ACHD. And I just, if it comes up, just assure the council that yes, this was our idea, not Mr. Hood's alone, that we were on board too, and we requested these actions and the letter that's followed in June and July and all that work that was initiated by our commission. So just so if there's clarification, that's all I'd suggest.
We can do that. Mike,
So that we ran that and made those requests to get that work done. So that was feedback.
My understanding is that he did not write the report and put himself in there as much as he was. It was done by an accomplice, I mean, someone else, who, used his name a lot. But I'll make note of that. Mr. Lancaster, welcome. Okay, the ex officio updates. I find my sheet. Let's start with Sergeant Smith. Anything going on in the police world?
I don't really have anything new. Same old, same old.
Hope it stays calm like that, or not too exciting, I guess. Mr. Price, ITD?
Not a lot today. I will say that the work on Eagle Road that's been talked about for a while, it has been, the design for the variable speeds has been completed and turned over to a contractor. So I suspect that you'll start seeing work out on Eagle Road in the next month to 6 weeks to add variable speeds, speed feedback, and concrete work in the median, in a couple of those medians to close some of the left turns. So, but that's my only update for now.
Without asking for too much detail, will it wait to be implemented all at one time, or will it be somewhat piecemeal? Or do you know at this point?
For the variable speeds themselves, or
Right.
just
Well,
overall?
for the corridor and the changes
Yeah.
y'all are making there.
Yeah, so any of the variable speeds, they will be turned on at the same time because they'll all work together. So if the speed is turned on one section, it'll be the same all the way through the corridor.
Okay.
And as far as the median works, so there's the northbound left turn at Bald Cypress, that one, and then the U-turn for southbound movement just south of U-Stick. Those are the two movements that'll be closed. So those will just be as the concrete work gets completed. You know, I haven't seen a schedule from the contractor on which one they'll start with, or if they'll be building both of them at the same time. But yeah.
Is there a penciled date for when you think the variable speeds might go into effect?
So this spring, summer is what we're shooting for. So some of the equipment can be a little bit tricky for contractors to get, from ordering it and then putting it together and getting it shipped. Sometimes those dates are longer than we'd like them to be, but we have talked to the supplier, so they're aware of it. So we're hopeful that there won't be a lot of delay in getting the equipment. But they are already under contract. The contractor is doing the work, so it's just, yeah. So it'll be mostly ordering the equipment and making sure it's all here and then doing that work. So, but this summer, the plan is to be done. So
Appreciate it. Keep us up to date as you see it coming together.
we'll do.
Ms. Dahl, what's going on across the street at VRT?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple things we have coming up. One thing that you would be interested in. So we are putting together, City of Nampa has asked us to put together several different, we're putting together 4 scenarios for the City of Nampa. Their funding, of course, is in question again this year. And since VRT is the public transportation provider, we need to hold public hearings for any changes in service. So in anticipation for that, we're going to hold a public input day, transit day on May 6th from 4 to 7 p.m. in Nampa. We're going to present 4 different scenarios. Scenario 1 is no change to any of their transit service. The next scenario would be an expansion in service, and the 4th one would be a reduction in service, so that we can get public input before they go to hearing to make any budget decisions. Of course, there's several inter-county routes that come from Nampa and go through City of Meridian, including the Route 40 and the Route 45, and those two. And so it would be important for City of Meridian, if there is any cut in funding on these scenarios, that of course would affect service to any of the other cities that also participate in those routes, including Meridian or Boise or Caldwell. So I would encourage all of you to attend that public open house and make comments on those scenarios so that we can take those to the city council.
Do you have a location for that yet?
We do not yet.
Okay.
But we will be sure to give you those details as we get closer. And then the other thing, we're just working on some timing adjustments. We're still kind of trying to improve our current routes and fine tune them. So there will be some timing adjustments to the 45, but that will not take place until June. But just keep your eyes open for that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Klopfenstein,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
what's going on over at Compass?
Yeah, we just continue planning for the long-range plan, and things on that front are moving forward. So no significant updates for you this month. But the one thing that you might be interested in is our upcoming education series event. We are holding an online workshop on the census, the U.S. Census Bureau. So somebody is going to be doing a online workshop from 1 to 2 p.m. on May 20th. And that's kind of an overview of the census and then how it's used in Idaho. And then from 2:15 to 3:15, they'll dive into the Business Builder tool and talk about how to use that. These are all online resources that the census provides, but sometimes they're a little hard to navigate without instructions. So that workshop will be happening on May 20th, and that's all I've got for you today.
And the usual public notices will be coming out?
Because this is just a service that we're providing, I don't think we're giving any sort of public notice other than, you know, just our normal like social media outreach, things like that.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Carson, what's up at the school district?
Hello. So we have we've added about 6 routes since the start of the school year. We're seeing an increase in ridership, especially at the middle school level, which is exciting to see. So we're just gearing up for next school year and what that might look like. And it's really the only update I have.
Thank you, ma'am. And Mr. Bruner, I didn't warn you about this on purpose, just to see if you could dance without knowing the music was going to start playing. But if you have anything at all, and if you don't, that's okay too. But this was an idea that actually Ms. Carson came up with when she had Heather Hill's seat a few years ago. And it proved so, we were so glad to get it, and they were very happy to provide little things. So if you have anything to mention from ACHD, we'd appreciate it. If you don't, you can kind of be making notes on the back of an envelope for next time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I do have one thing I want to bring up, and
Okay.
it's maybe something that you all are aware of, but there were 2 bills recently passed, signed this past week by the governor, limiting, changing, however you want to phrase it, how ACHG, kind of what projects we can undertake, what those look like. Essentially, they shift the focus of ACHG projects to be congestion mitigation first and pedestrian and bike improvements as a secondary feature of those projects. So some of our projects moving forward will look a little different. The planning group, they're working on the 5-year work plan right now. They, you know, as these bills kind of came down the pipeline, they were prepared and they were making lists on what could stay, what would have to go, what could change. Christy Inselman, who you may know, and then Rebecca Phillips, they've been really working really hard on that and kind of making sure to adapt as those bills were going through the State House. So aside from that, there's not much.
I'm a little confused. I thought I read that that part of the bill you're talking about did not stay in the final version that was headed to the governor. The parts directed at ACHD, it was a larger bill, but I may have misread my newsfeed.
Mr. Chair, there were.
See Mr. Hood moving toward a microphone, so if we.
So there were 3 different bills. One was regarding the addition of 2 extra commissioners that would be appointed and what that appointment process would look like. That one kind of went back and forth in and out of committee, went through some changes, and ultimately either late last week or yesterday before the session adjourned, or today before the session adjourned, did not make it out of committee. So that one's dead. The 2 that did get signed were the project focus primarily on traffic congestion, or excuse me, the project focus primarily on traffic congestion, and then also one that doesn't allow any roadways to be narrowed as part of a project. Those are 2 separate bills, and those both were signed last week by the governor.
Mr. Hood, anything additional?
No, Mr. Chair, I was trying to connect the dots, and then I believe that's maybe what you heard, is that bill did not, is not on the governor's desk.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments from the commissioners to any of our ex officios over anything they had to share with us?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
before you move forward, I was gonna, just not ex officio, but sort of, I'm in a different role anyways. I did want to provide an update. We talked about this, Mr. Chair, when we were going through the agenda, but it's not listed as a future meeting topic or in staff communications. But I wanted to make the Transportation Commission aware that we are gearing up in my office to go out for an RFQ, likely later this month, maybe the first part of next month, within the next 30 days or so. Actually in Mr. Ballard's neighborhood. So we're looking at improving connectivity potentially and economic development opportunities north of I-84 between Eagle and Meridian Road. So that's 2 miles. Geared sort of around where ISU and ICOM are though at Locust Grove, but it's really looking at kind of that area. We're calling it Magic Bridge Heights because there's different subdivisions in there. So it's kind of a play on all those subdivisions that are in that area. But Wells Drive, there's the kind of Hotel Row there off the freeway at Eagle Road, and making some better connections back through Locust Grove where ISU and ICOM and West Ada's administrative offices are and all that. So Central Drive is that leg. So Central, it kind of weaves through and up and around Winco and Home Depot and that way. And so improving those connection points, and there's some underutilized properties. So we're going to be looking for some largely technical transportation-based analysis. So I thought that was good to bring up to you all. And when I have a little bit more information solidified, so next month, I'll provide, or Carl Anderson in our office is actually leading this project. We'll be back with some more details, but wanted to give you a heads up in case you see that on the street or whatever, or if you know anyone that might be interested in helping the city out. Again, we hope to have that on the street here in the next couple, 3 weeks anyways, so.
Mr. Ballard, I heard your neighborhood mentioned.
As Mr. Hood was going through that, I'm recalling a task force, or maybe it was a workshop, Mr. Hood, back in about 2018.
Yeah.
Where several meetings on thoughts on how to, well, there's 80 acres that are undeveloped to south of where I'm at. And then Woodbridge and Central, and yeah, so that's been on the back burner for a while. So it's interesting to see that that task force or that work group is moving forward.
Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, I could put a little bit more meat on the bones and the history. And then again, maybe Carl can take this and move it forward if that's okay. Just another 30 seconds, maybe a minute. So as Mr. Ballard just mentioned, when the city did a pretty substantial update to our comprehensive plan, 2018, it was adopted in 2019, so it was about a 2-year process. One of the efforts, one of the focus areas was on Locust View Heights, which is right in the middle. It's a county subdivision. Most of the lots in there are 1 to 2 acres. They're right there at Mustang or Cadillac. I can't remember. It's a classic car name. And on the other side is ICOM in Central Drive. So their land uses changed back in 2019, but we never really did anything to facilitate or really address the issues of how that could really occur. Again, they're sort of landlocked. They have access to a signal, but it's only the 50 or so lots that are in that subdivision. And there's no connectivity to Woodbridge, which is the subdivision to the north, or Wells and the 5-acre parcels that I didn't know was 80, but there's several 5 and 10-acre parcels there by those hotels that are yet to be annexed and developed in the city. So yes, this is sort of part 2 or 3. The other part of that ties into the history, the story here, is Woodbridge subdivision that I mentioned. This group, and some of you are newer and haven't had the pleasure, but we do get complaints from Woodbridge about cut-through subdivision and have historically. So it is probably something that will, so it is something that the city's been concerned about and trying to figure out how we can mitigate some of it's never risen to the threshold at ACHD to put in speed humps or some of their other traffic mitigating. So volume and speed haven't technically been an issue, but it still is for that neighborhood. And so, yeah, this is kind of bringing a lot of those things together, and we're going to hire somebody to look at this again for the first time with a little bit different lens. So hopefully that helps kind of expand on why we're doing this. It's been a long-standing kind of concern issue.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Ms. Hill, Staff Communications.
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
before we move on, can I ask a follow-up question? So Caleb, you said it's Eagle, between Meridian and Eagle, is that right? Or Meridian and Locust?
So, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Lancaster, the boundaries actually, we are looking potentially even, and this is some of the RFQ and kind of depending on what some of the question and the discussion looks like, we may actually go on the other side of Eagle to Louise and look at St. Luke's, because that's also an issue, particularly at 430. And there may be some opportunities there. I assume Mr. Price is still on the line, but ITD, I think we would probably like to engage with ITD because there are impacts to Freeway Drive and the on and off ramps and potentially rebuild of the Eagle Road interchange. So generally the scope is Eagle to Meridian plus or minus. So Locust Grove is like smack dab in the middle, right? So it's basically between the 2 interchanges, kind of give or take.
Mr. Chairman, Caleb, thank you. If you come up with some successful plans in here, I'll miss our Woodbridge cut-through discussions that we have from time to time, but that sounds, thanks for the update.
One follow-up. Mr. Hood, from that workshop, I recall, at about that time, the school was coming online. Part of that conversation was, instead of going the long way around, can you connect various streets to get over to the hospital? But there are various reasons to open up another east-west corridor, if you will, and I use that term very broadly. So it's interesting to see that come together.
Mr. Chair, I didn't hear a question there, but I will respond. Yes, and that is actually part of our RFQ. I mean, there is a safety issue as we see it with only having one way. If something happens there in Woodbridge and it gets blocked, there isn't any other way to get, Franklin Road, but you have to go up and around and all the way back through. So there is, again, connectivity, secondary access, whatever you want to call that, an evaluation of how we can better connect this neighborhood east-west primarily.
I'm still trying to get past Mr. Ballard's memory of 2018, but anyway.
Well,
I'm impressed.
I go back to the 50s, so, Give me a little credit, you know.
I am.
The teens were just a couple of years ago. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Lewis.
hey, before we move off of staff communications, I have a question. In last month's meeting, we talked a little bit about the Title II presentation to City Council, not the bylaws for this commission, but I guess the enacting the code for this commission. I was wondering if we can get an update, if not now, next time, on what's happening in those arenas.
Ms. Hill, would you like to take that one?
Mr. Chair, I'm going to defer to Tishra since she's online and she may know more than when I last updated you, since we have her.
Can you repeat the question?
Oh, the question was, in our meeting last month, it was talked about how the Title II changes were going to be taken to council last month, and I was just hoping to get an update on what happened.
Yes, we should be moving right along with those. I can send out an update when I speak to Emily.
I don't think they went to council and just went through. I think there was some either more discussion to be had or questions that were asked or something to that effect.
Yes.
And Tishra, I believe the resolution or some of that we saw the ordinance was adopted, but I know that more will be coming on bylaws. So I think that was kind of this commission's concern, but we're not on to bylaws yet. Just some of the Title II stuff did go to council for adoption.
Thank you.
We will endeavor to get you it's done answer when we have one. Now, staff communications, please.
Mr. Chair, before we move on, since we have Sergeant Smith, I don't know if you want to provide her with an opportunity to see if police has any updates for this month.
I'm sorry, who?
Sergeant Smith.
I had asked her and she said no.
Okay. I was like, I think I missed that. There was a lot going on, so I just wanted to make sure.
No, yeah, unless she's found something between now and
No, that's
a
great.
few moments ago, I think we're still okay.
Okay. So for staff communications, we do have one this month. The email correspondence is included in the packet. This really is pertaining to the in and out on 10 Mile near Costco, and concerns from the HOA. So my response is there that I provided with Mr. Steed to respond and share with that HOA president. So I just wanted to include that so that you guys are aware that we did receive that correspondence and can answer any questions. And I did give Teshra a heads up as well if you guys had questions about that. But that's one of the ones. And I can stop there before I go on to another update that's not included in your packet.
And that item is going before P&Z soon, if I remember.
In 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay. Any questions on that one?
Mr. Chairman,
Lancaster.
just curious about location. So 10 Mile and Chinden, as I recall, right? So this is will be an outbuilding in the Costco development area. Is that correct?
It'll be the southeast corner of the Costco block,
Okay, thank you.
if I'm correct.
That's correct.
There's a vacant lot there currently. Yes, ma'am. You had another item?
Yes, so the next one you will see, it is also a future meeting topic. It's the State Highway 69 CUNA to Meridian Corridor Traffic Study with ITD. I'm going to have some handouts to give you after the meeting that I received from a meeting related to their public involvement. They're calling it a meeting. It's more of an online virtual house that you can review the information. It is available starting today for you to review and provide any public comment. I do want to just call attention to that it does not include the Overland intersection. So when you're looking through that and you have an opportunity to comment, there's a lot of information on there, and I'll hand this out to you so you have the link to the website. The ITD is also planning with DKS, their consultant, to come hopefully in June is kind of what we're targeting, to come around and talk about the feedback they receive as part of this open house per se and some of the feedback they get. So that's the last thing, and I have some of these. So try to catch me on your way out. And that's it that I have this month.
Mr. Hood, speaking of future meeting topics, is the ACHD queuing analysis moving up getting any traction?
Mr. Chair, I have not talked to anybody at ACHD probably in several months at this point. I can talk with Mr. Bruner and see if that's maybe something in their traffic department. I've talked to Mr. Sack before and Mindy about that, but having someone come and explain that to the commission, coordinate maybe through him and see if we can get somebody to come and.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking is I had a development item come across my computer today regarding Chick-fil-A on Eagle, and I don't fully understand it, but something to do with, don't even want to get into it, but something to do with queuing, which made me think of that, so.
Mr. Chair, if I can, and Heather gave opportunity for any follow-up questions, and we shouldn't talk about the merits of any other drive-throughs that are pending, but, I think it was something the commission brought up, and I have no problem educating you all, but we are not, the charge of this commission is not to review development applications to make sure that their drive-throughs function, right? So, like I said, we'll coordinate that. And you and anyone on that subcommittee certainly welcome to provide comments, but some of the conversation we've had internally over the last couple of weeks is, is the role of the commission right? Do we want to have them start looking at planning and zoning applications outside of being on a transmittal and providing comment as individuals? And that's not the case as of today, so.
I have no opinion about it, don't even understand the question, except it looked like it was a queuing situation of some sort.
Long story short on that one on Eagle Road, the Chick-fil-A there, they have put some cones up, and what was supposed to be an escape lane is now a second drive-through lane. So they're appealing that because you're supposed to have an escape lane, and they've just coned off and striped how they wanted. So, and code enforcement has been, turned on to that. So,
Okay. All right. I believe that concludes our agenda.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Leclerc.
Well, future meeting topic possibility. I want to see what the rest of the commission thought. We had the educational session with the accident example and drones. That was very interesting last year. And I think we had a live fatal accident at Franklin and Locust Grove. And I think it'd be interesting if MPD could put something together, when did it happen? Why did it happen? What was the response? How long did it take? Did it disrupt traffic? Get sort of a timeline of what happened and how the drone technology helped. And I think that'd be all an interesting follow-up. And I wanted to see if other commissioners thought that would be a process we should be more aware of and get a little presentation on. What do we think? I saw one nod.
Mr. Chair.
It may be too fresh to get into. There are limits on what the PD can talk about publicly until sometime down the road, apparently. Sergeant, was that you that I heard trying to break in?
Yes, sir. That's what I was going to say. That crash is actually being charged criminally. So we won't be able to talk about that one just yet.
If you wouldn't mind, it might be an educational opportunity for us months from now when it becomes
that sounds
talkable.
Yeah, we can look at doing something like that or one similar.
Thank you, ma'am.
So maybe put it in as a topic item and see what happens.
Okay.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Anything else? That Chair will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. Mr. Ballard beat you, Mr. Lewis.
That's all right.
Motion is second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.